Testing sound. Testing. And we're all good. Alrighty. Live from Cabot, Arkansas. This is Ramsey Coach with Coach Steve Money. This is the Answering Your Financial Questions live stream. This is number 80 in this series. Take a look at my YouTube page, youtube.com/coachstevemoney. Scroll down and you'll see this show, Answering Your Financial Questions. Again, this is number 80, so there are 79 others you can peruse. Also, the Ramsey Show After Show, and there will be one coming up this week on the 18th. Will be the next one of those, and there are 369 of these so far, so there'll be 370 on Thursday. And in between those is the music playlist, and there are 8 approximately Ramsey adjacent songs in there. Take a listen to them, such hits as "And That's What Gives Financial Peace," "And That's What Gives Financial Peace." And of course, from a parody of sorts of "That's What Makes You Beautiful" by One Direction. So we go to reddit.com/r/Dave Ramsey and we sort by new, and of course I didn't have this ready to go. So I do them from the bottom so that it'll run out of questions, which I did on the last weekend. Because I do this show Saturdays and Sundays, and then if I do Ramsey shows as well, I will run out of those. Let's see. So if that was last weekend, so we should be able to go to "7 days. And again, I should have done this beforehand, so sorry. Just skip ahead. Addressing greed. Didn't we talk about that already? I think we did. Realistic to pay off $12,000 car note in the next 12 months. I think we did the greed thing. Let's see. Trying to accumulate way more than is needed. It's just a reflection of greed. And yeah, basically it was this or a very similar question. And what I said for this was basically, if you are not giving, if you are on baby step 7, and baby step 7 is build wealth and give a lot of it away. If you're not doing the giving a lot of it away, then that is an issue at that point, perhaps. And so, but just by accumulating it, you're not, by that alone, you're not doing anything wrong. But if you do not have any other needs for yourself, if you can take care of all of your needs as well, then you should be giving some away and helping those less fortunate. And so if you're not doing any of that, then that would be, you could be called greedy at that point. But other than that, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks about how much wealth you've acquired. Doesn't matter. This is from Davey48. Is it realistic to pay off a $12,000 car note in the next 12 months? Yes, it is. You just have to put $1,000 to it each of those months. Thinking about working as much as possible to get my car paid off. I owe $11,900 on the car as of this month. I really want to get it paid off ASAP. Well, then do so. The problem is I don't make a lot of money. My full-time job pays about $2,000 a month, so would have to live on half of that income, and that's probably pre-tax. So it'd probably be even less than, I have a part-time job, but the most I could get out of that is maybe $400 a month. Okay, so you could maybe live off of half of that, the 1,000 and the 14. The 400 would make 1,400. And so then you would have 1,000 left over. Working both, I get really tired. Well, that's going to happen. I live at home. That means with parents. So I don't have rent currently. If I get this car paid for, then I feel like I can start working on getting a down payment together for an apartment. You don't really have to put a down payment on an apartment unless you're buying the apartment. The car is a 17 Toyota with 70K miles on it, so it'll probably last another, let's see if there's anything relevant here, another 8 years as long as I don't trade it in. The only other large debt I have is a student loan that won't be active until I'm out of grad school in 3 years. I'm starting part-time online in the fall. Alrighty. Well, the idea is to not take on any more debt other than that and just cash flow that. But paying off the debt at the same time is recommended. But yeah, so you can do that. It just depends on where your expenses are, and living at home, like you said, that means with parents. I'm living at home too, but it's not with my parents. And so you can certainly do that. It's just going to require, like most of the early baby steps, that's going to require sacrifice for you to tell yourself no about getting stuff so that you can accomplish good things with your money. Mary Strategist, what would Dave say? Right, I'll just go ahead and open that one up so we can see that. That's quite a little bit of reading. Let's see what's up. Baby step 5 flare, and so that would be saving for kid college. And you do, of course, 4, 5, and 6 all at the same time. Let me scroll to the baby steps there. As you can see, baby step 1, save $1,000 as fast as possible. Baby step 2, pay off all debts, smallest to largest, using that snowball. Baby step 3, grow that $1,000 into 3 to 6 months of living expenses into your fully funded emergency fund. And 1, 2, and 3 you do in order, but one at a time. You do not go ahead. So you don't also add to your $1,000 emergency fund while you're paying off debt. You do not do that. You do this one, and then you move to baby step 2. And then after you have no more non-mortgage debt, then you would start adding to your $1,000 emergency fund. Steps 4, 5, and 6, investing, kid college, and paying off the house early. Those you do in order, but all at the same time. Oh, let's see what we got. Making a decision on housing and we're feeling stuck. Classic analysis paralysis, and I really would love to get some truthful feedback. All right, I will give it to you. My husband and I make a combined $365,000 a year before bonuses that generally total 30 to 40 annually. Our take-home pay is roughly 13 to 14K a month after tax, non-bonus months, insurance, and 401K max out, and catch-up contributions since he's over 50. All right, well, with that amount of income, a bunch of people on here will not be able to relate to you, and because your high income could take care of their little bit of debt. Whereas their little bit of income is not going to address their debt as quickly. And so that's when they can't relate to you at all for some reason. Because you probably have more debt. Maybe not now since you're on baby step 5, but you have an equal opportunity to go into the same percentage of debt, and so that means way more debt for the higher earners most of the time. Part of my question lies with how we look at our monthly income to determine 25% take-home pay. Is the intent to look at this prior to bonuses? And trying to figure out for how much house to buy, it's not, what is it, $30,000 to $40,000 annually? That's not going to be that much. I mean, let's see, 30 and 30, 60 and 50. So that's like a difference of $75,000 is what that would be if you included the 30 bonus in there. So it's not really going to take it up that much. So like, for example, if you just go on to 365, that is going to be, what is that, 730 and 170. So it's going to be about 900, something like that. So a very expensive house that you can afford. And again, this is assuming you said step 5, and so that generally means that steps 1 through 3 are already taken care of, and also they're already investing as well, as they said. Is the intent to look at this prior to bonuses? Yeah, the idea is always to buy less house than you want to buy. The reason I'm struggling with this is that if we add annual bonus income in, we have an increase of $3,000 per month to work with. Since our company bonuses are intended to be paid out, have not received so far, can we safely consider that when calculating our affordable monthly payment of 15-year less than 25% take-home pay? I mean, if you've already gotten them, but if you're saying you haven't even gotten them yet. So, I mean, what about last year? Is this like a new job where you haven't even gotten it? I mean, you could base it on last year. And if you, especially if you have multiple years, you could take the average percent of bonus that you have and go with that. Or to be safe, you could just get a $75,000 less house, or less mortgage rather. It can be more, but you just put more down payment on it. Let's see, we have 0 debt, fully funded emergency fund, contribute 15% to retirement, basically maxing out 401ks with catch up and IRAs, contribute $1,000 monthly to our daughter's 529 plan, and so this is addressing 4 or 5, and they don't have the house yet, I guess. I expect we may be going overboard on that. On the 529, maybe. Is not to fully fund college, since I feel it's important for her to work and contribute to her college funding, but feel free to weigh in. That's fine. That's fine, and so you could drop back on that a little bit. How old is the daughter? Oh, 4. She's 4, so you got 14 years. So you could drop back on that, maybe $250 or $500 a month on that, and then that would give you a little bit extra to get the house paid off early. We pay $1,450 a month in child care. Yeah, that will take a bite. Pay $2,500 a month of rent for a townhome, roughly, includes utilities. Okay, kiddo has some medical expenses, so we end up with $15,000 or so a year annually in medical expenses. We have $300,000 for a down payment saved. Found a home for $799,000 that feels wonderful. That's not going to be a problem. You put $300 on that, that's a $499,000 mortgage. Of course, it's going to be more than that due to because realtors will take a bite as well, and so, but just with that number there, $799 and $300 down, so it's $499. So you can that's definitely going to be less than 25% of your take-home pay. Regardless, even if you didn't include the bonuses. If we paid full price and used all $300,000 saved as down payment, reminder there's separate from emergency fund, right? Yeah, as it should be. You don't, I want to buy a house, I don't have enough. Oh, that's an emergency. It is not. We'd have a $500,000 mortgage, exactly. Our payment would be under the 25%. Yeah, if we consider it's going to be under it otherwise. Yeah, it's gonna be under it otherwise. So do we pause and continue to save, or do we look for homes in the $675,000 range? You could look for some more. You could see what's out there, but I think you're going to be fine. I think it's under the amount that would keep it under 25% of take home. Let's look at that one more time. Has 365 a year, so let's not include the bonuses. And I wonder if that has to be take home instead of that. So that's going to be what, 330 take home. So if that's or less, let's go 320 take home. Then that would be 320, and 320 is 6. So that still lets you have a more than a $500,000 mortgage. So yeah, by putting that much down payment is how you get yourself under the amount. So maybe they just did math wrong. So yeah, that would be fine. Congratulations, making bags. What up, Matty Bags? What up, C. Christopher Henry? What's the best investment now? That's going to be mutual funds and real estate you pay for in cash, always. Matty wanted to take over the finances for the next 3 months. Alrighty. Okay, well, instead of saying I want to lay down the reasons why you think it would be a good idea instead, and talk to her about it and discuss it with her rather than just telling her, I want to do this. I mean, granted, she does a lot of I want to do this for you. Alrighty, should we move? This from Balls of Holly. We are considering moving closer to my family to get a little more help with our 2 young children. I'm 38, wife is 36. Our current situation is 401k, 300k, cash on hand, 60k, home paid for, we're at 300k, both vehicles under 50k miles and paid for. Great. Max 401k and both Roth. Okay, no debt, 110k income. The issue is we would be moving to a higher cost of living area. Well, your jobs would change, so you got to account for that. We've been working with a realtor, and it looks like we'd be needing a mortgage of 80 to 100k. It depends on what jobs you get there. We're struggling with this as we haven't had a mortgage in 5 years. Yeah, you get used to that no mortgage once you have the house paid off. We're concerned the mortgage payment will eat into our eat into our retirement savings potential. Well, it's gonna. I know how to make a budget. We can definitely afford it, but this is more a question about feeling, okay? I can feel things. Has anyone went back to having a mortgage after years without one? How was that? I personally have not. I did have one at one time, and not anymore. I'm renting now. Has anyone ever moved closer to family to get more help with kids? Was it worth it? Well, the problem is you don't know that the family will definitely help with kids. Like, you can't move over there and expect them to do it. Even if they say, oh yeah, we'll help out, you can't expect them to follow through with it. As of now, my family visit once a month for 2 or 3 days, and that's the only time my wife and I can do anything alone. She stays home with the kids, and we don't have anyone we trust with our kids besides our mom. One is special needs. Yeah, that just depends on if you guys want to take the chance. That's a chance, because if your jobs change, you may not be making that much as you are now, even, and you said it's to a higher cost of living, so you're the one that has to do it. So you are the one that has to make the decision on that. You do want to be very careful on that, because it might not be worth it. You might not be getting enough help to be worth the move. And of course, the income could go way down. It could also go the other way and go up as well in the new area. Dismal upstairs, 4375. Dismal upstairs better than a dismal downstairs. Need advice on moving. Okay, another moving question. Let's go ahead and open the whole thing. I'm 29 man, currently in baby step 2, and have been for almost a year, and overall, with a few bumps, it's been going well. I currently make 71K a year, and the only debt I have now is 10K on my car and about 3.5K on student loan. If everything goes to plan, I should have to pay paid off around this time next year. Great. The problem comes with housing. Yep, housing do take a bite. I'm a single dad to a 4-year-old about to start pre-K, and I think I need to move. I moved into this apartment after living with friends because it was cheap, and my daughter and I needed to get back on our feet. It hasn't been too bad, but it's dirty. The bugs weren't too bad at first, but it's been slowly getting worse and worse as people move in and out. Well, okay, so all right, I've sprayed, had exterminators come out. You know the deal. I don't need to go into details. Okay, on top of that, justification station right there, though. Okay, because you moved to a different place that doesn't have bugs, doesn't mean you have to move into a more expensive area. On top of that, while I haven't run into issues, the cast of characters around here isn't something I'd like to raise my daughter around, so I've been thinking about moving. That's fine, move. You don't have to move into a really expensive neighborhood. The real issue for me was when I was looking at some better apartments, the normal rent seemed to be about what I could pay in a mortgage. I'm expecting a promotion later this year, which would bring my income somewhere between 80 to 90K. I'm not 100% on the amount. I'm not 100% sure I'll get the job. And so that's why you can't count on that. You can't say, oh, I'll be doing that, so I should buy a house right now. But it is for a position I'm actively filling. I live in Virginia, which has a first-time home buyer's deal. Sorry if I'm rambling. I just need sounding board because I feel like I need to get out. You can get out, but maybe not to that neighborhood. Feel free to ask any clarifying questions. Thanks in advance. I wouldn't exactly sacrifice the safety of the area you have your 4-year-old in for Gazelle debt payoff. That's not what he asked at all. He asked whether he should move at all. And so, let's see if... I was just thinking the other day I'd need to buy a lawnmower, weed eater, etc. Right? Yeah. If you have a house, that's everything. So yeah, rent somewhere else and make sure that's the right area for you guys. And you don't necessarily have to move somewhere where the prices are going to be that much more. But even if they are the same as renting, a lot of people make that mistake. Oh, I could had a mortgage payment for that amount, and you're just thinking about the equity that's going to build. Which, granted, that's always a plus of home ownership, but that doesn't include all the stuff that you have to buy because nobody else is taking care of the yard, nobody else is fixing things that break, and so you gotta think about all of that. Advise. Yes, that's what I do. That's a verb. I think this person means advice with a C, question mark. An okay student, apparently. Only okay, not that great. I'm kidding. Okay, I'm 24. I live on my own. Rent about $1,200. I make $20 an hour, averaging 40 to 50 hours a week, and usually around 5 to 10 of that being overtime. Great. I just started to receive a kickback from the company at the end of the month, starting about 3 months ago. Lowest I've gotten was around 400. Highest so far was about 850. Great. I own my car flat out as it's a 20-year-old commuter car. Excellent. Last year I opened a credit card. Beep, 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 doo. So I knew it was going to be something I wouldn't like here. There was interest prepayments for 18 months and spent $4K on parts. Nearly rebuilt the entire car by myself. I'm on top of maintenance and plan to drive this car for another 20 years. And what is it that we want to do that is bad? I have $1,500 left and I'm on track to pay that off. Okay, so it's a car loan. Okay, about 2 months ahead of the deadline for my interest-free period. That is my only debt besides medical bills. Okay, with rent factored in, with the rest of my bills, I'm guessing around $2K per month. Expense-wise, not factoring in gas or food, although I do cook and pack all my own food. I rarely ever spend money. Okay, what are we we're justifying something here. I'm going to be starting a Roth IRA soon, not until you finish paying off your non-mortgage debt and you get your full emergency fund saved. No investing. No. No. Wish I could have started one sooner, but wasn't financially able to. Hell, last year I even lived in my car for a brief moment. Right, so you're not near where you can do that. You can't do that yet. I have 1K in cash set aside. 1K is my savings. I have another 1K that I'm willing to invest and start a Roth IRA with. That's not the advice. As I said before, it says right here, it says baby step 1, save $1,000 as fast as possible. It doesn't say, well, save up a little bit more here and there if you want to. And baby steps 2 and 3 are right there before you start investing, and you need to complete those before you start investing. You're doing it wrong. Let's see, what are my next steps? They're right here. It says the baby steps right there. Are there possibly things that I could cut or do to save money that I'm not thinking about? Yeah, everything. Everything you're spending money on. Stop it. Stop it. If you're going into Starbucks, stop it. Whatever you're spending money on that is not a need, stop it while you get this taken care of. And the more you do that, the more crap you stop buying, the faster you'll be able to start investing. Am I in the right direction? Sorta. I feel so far behind and defeated once I pay my credit card off. How much should I invest? None. Again, you have to be entirely out of debt, the medical debt as well. And how much should I save with my leftover money after monthly survival expenses? None. Again, none. All of that money goes toward paying off the debt. And then all of that money goes towards filling your full emergency fund. I was going to shoot for 50-50 for investing and saving, but people always want to go ahead and do the next thing. They never want to do steps 1, 2, and 3 in order, one at a time. They always want to go ahead. I was going to for investing and saving, but I'm worried that would just make it harder and add more years to the journey. It will. And that is the problem with trying to do all of the baby steps at the same time. It makes it take longer. Of saving up enough to buy a house in the future. Yeah, don't even stop thinking about that. I mean, no, it's a possibility in the future, but it's if you stop thinking about it and concentrate on the baby step you're on right now. There's no problem taking a couple minutes a day to think about that. Oh, I'll be able to buy a house. But then you kick it out of your mind and you concentrate on the baby step that you are on. Ooh, no, yesterday. 07, investment advice, mortgage versus investments. All right, well, let's go ahead and get the baby steps up because there they are. Investment advice, mortgage versus investments. Well, let's see what we got here. This says, baby step 4 says invest 15% of your gross income into retirement. It doesn't say, and more if you want to. It doesn't say that. So let's see if it says anything else beyond 15% here. Let's say for kids' college. No. Let's pay off your mortgage early. No. That sounds like you're not supposed to do that until step 7. And the reason it sounds like that is because that's exactly the way it is. By making your mortgage, keeping that mortgage around like it's a pet, by making that spread out instead of paying it off early as soon as possible, that's debt leverage to invest instead of doing that. So that would be doing it wrong. Let's read it. Let's see. Of about 550K remaining mortgage, I mean, that's going to take a while. I see, and he has it already. Have 500K of investments in stocks. So you're doing it wrong, especially if they're in single stocks. You're doing it wrong. Recently, I've been saving for my emergency fund, and I'm close to a liquid fund value of around 50K. Well, let's assume that's enough for a 6-month emergency fund. Should I just A, pay off my mortgage using my investment funds, or B, keep my investments intact and practice good money habits to make me pay off the mortgage in 8 or 9 years? Update my current home loan interest rate. Doesn't matter. Have about 28 years remaining at 33 years old. So getting a 30-year mortgage, he could have bought too much house. He could have bought too much house. And so don't know about that, but just in particular on that. So if there's no other debt, I'm assuming 50K would cover the 6 months, and that's all you should have. All you should have is 6 months maximum in an emergency fund, not extra, until you are in step 7. Step 7, you can save as much as you want. Step 7, you can invest as much as you want. But until then, the idea is to pay off the mortgage early, because that also helps with retirement, because then you don't have a rent or mortgage payment when you're retired and you're 33 years old. So you still got another good 25, 30 years in the market. So you will be fine. I'm getting that. If you're already investing 15% out of each paycheck is the idea. And so if you're doing that and you already have that in the single stocks, Dave doesn't like single stocks anyway, too volatile. And so you would pay off the house with those. So the other end of this, though, is say that the person, if these are in a retirement account, you would not sell those. This is just if they are in brokerage accounts. If it's inside a retirement account, you're going to get the penalties and the fees on the growth, the taxes on the growth. Excuse me, penalties and taxes, and you do not want either of those taking out a chunk of that 500K instead. So you would not do that, and what you would do is just continue to invest 15% and then do your good money habits to pay off the mortgage in 8-9 years. If these are in a retirement account. If they're not in a retirement account and there's no penalties, of course you will still have to pay taxes on the growth, but there won't be any penalties. So the advice is to do that with single stocks. Revolutionary ad 374. My wife is pushing back on baby step 2. She doesn't want to do it. Okay, so I know the baby steps like the back of my hand, but my wife is pushing back on me. No periods needed then. Pushing back on me. She doesn't want to do it. What does she want to buy instead, I wonder? We only have 3 more loans to pay off. Okay, baby step 2, that's what it is pay off all non-mortgage debt. And you're not supposed to be buying any other unnecessary crap during that time. Only stuff that's needed. 18K. They got 3 more loans to pay off $18,000. Okay, $530 payments. 25K. Oh, I see. It's different amount. It's 18K. That is a $530 payment. 25K, a $450 payment being rented at $700. Is that a mortgage that you have down to 25K? I'm not understanding this. No, without the punctuation, it makes it real. Okay, being rented at 700. 28K, 270 payment. We make about $253 a year gross. The 18K loan is the patio add-on to my home. The 25K is my second house in my home state, and the 28K is a double lot that I bought in Texas, where I live now, for development. Sell the lot. So far, I have put about $11K into the Texas property. That's going to be a 2-park RV lot. What have you done to it? It's going to be a 2-park RV lot that could bring in $1,600 a month gross, yes, or it could bring in nothing. My wife is pushing me to pay off the 18K patio. Yeah, so you're doing it wrong. What do you mean she's pushing back on baby step 2? You're the one that got all this stuff. I mean, granted, you may have gotten yourself into all this stuff, but it sounds like you're fine with developing this property while you're in baby step 2. So I don't know where you are standing on this, sir. Let's see if there's clarity. I was pushing me to pay off the 18K patio and start developing the Texas property for income, about 25K to finish, but I disagree. I would rather pay off all 3 loans then start my 15% back into retirement. Also, the 3 to 6 month emergency fund, and then develop the land. After the land is developed, start hammering down on the 300K house. Do you agree with her, or should I just go ahead and pay off all 3 loans? Do you agree with her, or should I just go ahead and... Can you do that and stay married? Can you just go ahead and do that? I love the way some of these are phrases, are phrased. So whatever Reddit says to do, you'll do, and the marriage doesn't matter. So this is not for Reddit to decide. This is for you and your wife to decide, sir. Communication, compromise, and if you can't do either of those things, counseling is the dealio on that. But again, this timeline. So if you got into all this stuff and that money that you've already spent on developing, and as soon as you found out about Mr. Ramsey, then you haven't done any of that dumb stuff anymore, and you've been just paying off your debt, then fine, you're doing it correctly. So, but if you're still got your hands and trying to do other stuff, then you're not doing it correctly. And how about the second house in your home state? Why don't you sell that? You don't need a second house in your home state. Not, especially not when you have debt. You don't need it. So I would do that. I would sell that house and do that. And that will be a third option, which is something that you have to consider when you are compromising with spouse. And maybe she would accept that, because then you would be able to pay off all of your loans and develop that property. But you just wouldn't have that second house in your home state, and it doesn't say our second house in my home state, in our home state. It's my. So probably some counseling going to be needed there. And anything, no matter what happens. Let's see, okay, Pineapple, 1843. Step 2, side hustles after 5 p.m. That's going to be all your Uber and food delivery, my friend. Well, I did not think I'd find myself writing about this at any point in my life, but here we are. I'm a 28-year-old with $60K in credit card debt. Long story short, I have racked up the debt via sports gambling. I am taking the necessary actions to never gamble again and won't bore you with those details in this post. All right. What I will tell you is that I have a plan in place to get this money off my back and paid off ASAP. What's that? Unfortunately, I've drained my checking and savings account in the process. That's what you're supposed to do. Assuming that was paying off debt with it instead of trying some other fast money-making scheme that didn't work out. I hope that's not the case. And all I have left as far as investment goes, my 401k, which I will not be touching, and that's what is advised, do not touch it. I'm working on building up my $1,000 emergency fund utilizing the debt snowball method. Again, what did the checking and savings account go to? I bring in a little over $100,000 a year, $6K a month post-tax, but ideally I would like to get a second job. Ability to work from home would be preferred, sure. After my 9 to 5, in which 100% of those paychecks would go towards paying off my debt and expedite this process. Any advice or tips on good side hustles to help me get out of this hole would be appreciated. Thank you all. You can work at nights at any retail establishment, depending on your area. Making a little over 100K, it's possible you would do well with Uber Eats and that kind of thing. And you can also look for work from home as well, opportunities. But as far as like specific ones, couldn't tell you. So, but the most money might be in the Uber Eats delivery. Kevin B1520 need some advice. Okay, so I'm new-ish, like 3 months into the baby steps. Okay, let's see if there's anything you don't understand about them. Here's my situation. My mom passed in June 23rd, right, on June 23. Condolences. This caused me to need financial help, and I found Dave. Okay. I had a 6-month emergency fund that I depleted to $1,000 to pay off some debt. Great. That's doing it correctly. I have roughly $25K still owed in debt. $2K is credit cards, $23 in a car. The car is worth $19K via Kelly Blue Book private sale. I know I should sell it and take the loss and buy a 5K beater and hope nothing goes wrong. Yep. Valued at over $1,000 or I'd be screwed. I make roughly 38 to 51K with 2 jobs working 55 to 65 hours a week. Take home is roughly $3K with 2.2K in bills. Trying to find a third job to get in between 75 and 90 hours and bring my income up by at least 18 a year. Okay. I've cut back to pretty much eating rice, beans, and occasionally adding sausages as well as the free meals at my one job. Great. Am I going about this wrong or am I on the right track? You are. Take another look at your budget. The problem is when people are doing their own budgets, sometimes they are looking at stuff and they say, oh, well, that's a necessity, and it's not. And they say that because they want it. And that doesn't make it a necessity because you want it. So take a look and make sure you do have that budget cut to the bone. And that is like getting a raise as well. Then you don't have to get a third job because you've cut out X, Y, and Z, whatever expenses that aren't necessary. I was trying to do necessary and say necessities at the same time. So yeah, pretty good understanding of how it works. Moving down in car, that would be an an option for sure. 19 worth 19K, so that's worth 19K, and you owe 23K, so that would be 4. So you'd be adding 4,000 to your debt to do that. And if you had to borrow enough to get a car, you'd need 9 to get that. So that one might be iffy, but you could certainly do that, and that would take your debt down. If you can get 19 and you only owe 4 on it, that would be a $9,000 loan is better than a $19,000 loan any day of the week. That cuts that 50% there, almost. That's not what I wanted to do. IC car 8686. Are debit cards safe with authorized transaction? Authorized in the Estados Unidos has a Z in it. Europe, it would be S. Me and my dad, that would be my dad and I, have a disagreement. All right. Let's see who's right. Gen Z or the boomer? Let's see. America's favorite new game show, Gen Z or the boomer? We both agree that credit cards and debit cards offer the same protection for unauthorized transactions such as fraud due to zero liability cover. However, my dad seems to think that if an authorized transaction goes sour, then credit cards are covered and debit cards aren't. For example, paying for something that ends up being delivered faulty, buying something online that isn't delivered, or paying for a flight and the airline goes bust, etc. Is he correct by saying that the credit card company will cover you and the debit cards won't? Baby step 1, flare. No, it's not 100%. The problem is that if you give somebody your debit card number and you didn't think you would be charged a certain amount, and you have to be able to prove that they said it was going to be this price. So, and unless you have that proof, that can be rough trying to get that money back on either of them, credit cards or debit cards. So with an authorized transaction, so yeah, that's here basically. So with a debit card, that would be, for example, the debit card is swiped or the number used online, and then that transaction gets sent by the merchant to MasterCard, who then authorizes it. And that amount should be the amount that is on the website or that has been given vocally. If you talk to the person and they say, and then they run the card for like any particular company, if they run the card, it should be for the right amount. Now, mistakes happen, and of course, fraud happens where a lot of these situations where you have to give them your card number just to find out more about the product. Don't do that. That is a bad idea. Or you have to give it to them for some other reason to prove who you are or whatever. Don't do any of that dumb stuff. But basically, the burden is on you because you gave them the card number. Marry Me 81, Fidelity Youth. I was having trouble finding an account for my son that would allow him to earn higher interest like I do. Why can't he have the same account that you have? None seems set up for working minors. Okay. For now, you're choosing the Fidelity Youth account. That, as I understand it, will allow him to get his check auto-deposited, plus give him a debit card, while he earns almost 5% on his cash How much are you getting? Now, if you opened up your account at a different time, it may have had a different interest rate on it at that time. Plus, he can invest and earn money by learning to invest. This is a good choice. Any additional insights, experience with Fidelity Youth accounts, appreciated. I have not particularly seen that type of account at Fidelity. My retirement account is at Fidelity, but I have not particularly seen that. So, oh, I see. Earn higher interest like I do. So maybe she only has around the 5% as well. And so I get it. Okay. I just misunderstood the phrasing on that. Okay. Now, I wouldn't imagine that it's fine, but the advice for kids is to just pile up money and not invest it when they're young, and save investing until they are out of college or trade school and have their big boy or big girl job. That would be the Ramsey advice. Learning finance 1. Let's do some of that. Man, 28, and female, 25, paying off over $700K in debt. 4 months in progress update. All right. Wife and I managed to pay off just over $90K in debt over the last 4 months. Great. Without selling anything yet. Yeah, original debt breakdown. Side business debt, 332. We are personal guarantors, so counting in baby step 2. Right. Business debt, you're still signing it. You're signing it. It's still your debt. Auto vehicles, 120K. Hopefully that 332K is bringing in a lot of money per month. Hopefully. 120K. Some of these are used for side businesses. What do you mean some of these? How many do you have for $120,000? You could buy a house for that. My goodness. I would sell maybe 1 or 2 of the cars, depending on how many there are. Real estate, 255K, includes home and rental. You could sell the rental. Have high equity in both. You could sell the rental. Total debt, 707K. And that's going to be the advice. I mean, even though you're doing pretty well, let's see, 90 in the last 4 months. Total debt was 707K. Okay, so 90. So assuming, so that's times 3 a year. So that's 270 a year. Yeah, why not just sell the rental, and that will take a good chunk off of the. Since you have high equity, maybe not that big a chunk as I'm thinking, but you do owe 255K. In both of them, and so yeah, why not sell the rental, and then you would have less debt and also more cash to put towards the debt. And so that's like a double less debt, because it gets rid of one of the mortgages and it would get rid of some of the debt as well. BKA 248, advice appreciated. What would Dave do? Flare. So theoretically, by putting this here, the original poster, which is BKA 248, would like to know what Dave would do. And so don't want any pushback from you when you get Dave advice. I have step 1 done with $1,500 in a rainy day fund. Okay. Immediate red flag there. So you want the advice. The advice is to follow the freaking baby steps and not try to make them better. Does it say $1,500 in step 1? It does not. Step 3, he's doing it wrong. He's doing it wrong. Step 3, have 1 month in emergency fund, high yield. Okay, he's doing them all. He's doing all the steps at the same time. Oh my goodness gracious me. Sorry, not as smooth as I thought.
You're doing it wrong.
If everything you're doing is bad, I want you to know this.
Yeah. So you're doing it wrong. All right. So 5. So you're doing it wrong. What didn't you? I mean, okay. So it doesn't say do steps 1, 2, and 3 one at a time in order. It does not say that. It seems like it needs to, because there's so many people that try to do all of the baby steps at the same time, which makes the whole thing take longer. So it's 4, 5, and 6 you do in order, but all of those at the same time. And yes, it doesn't say that there, but I didn't have any problem understanding that the first 3 were you do this one first, then this one, and then step 3 after that. You don't try to move ahead and do investing while you're still doing that. And so if you're investing, you're doing that wrong as well. I paid down my credit card debt that I accumulate in the year with my income tax return, and doing that none of this is what Dave would do. So you bother to put that on there. That's not put on there by the moderators of this wonderful subreddit. This is this person putting it on there, and it's none of the crap that you're doing is what Dave would do. He would do the steps right here. Single mother 2, I do not own a home, I do not have a car payment. So again, continuing using credit card debt, and lets it accumulate during the year, so not paying it off every month and paying it with the income tax return. Again, everything she's doing is bad. Do not have a car payment, only have disposable income when I receive child support, which is irregular. Budget $100 a month for eating out. Don't do that. No eating out. No. And $10 for streaming. $10 for streaming, allowable. $100 eating out, no. $500 for groceries. $160 for gas. $75 for miscellaneous needs. If they're needs, fine. If they're not needs, no. Rest is rent, childcare, credit card, minimum payment, and utilities. Yeah, so what would Dave do? The Dave thing is not being in debt, not using a credit card to live on or get stuff that you want in the moment and then pay it off with your tax return. That's not the idea behind the Ramsey advice. Idea behind the Ramsey advice is that you don't have any freaking debt anymore. Credit score is 750. Who gives a rip? My job pays $13.75 an hour, contributes about $40 a month to a 401k. You're doing it wrong. I do have plans to get into community college when my youngest starts preschool next year. Anyone have any feedback or advice to help me accomplish more savings investments? You don't do that. You pay off your debt. Does it say do savings investments anywhere in step 2? It does not. Let's see if they follow the steps in order. There you go. Agreed. You aren't on several steps simultaneously, but one step at a time. No, this person is on several steps simultaneously, but needs to do one step at a time. Check the post office. Already hiring. Always hiring. Need more money. Stuck here until I get a college degree. This is the OP replying to somebody. Let's see if there's any more. Adjust withholding so you can pay it down every month. No, you stop using it. That's not even, you don't want to use it anymore. You cash flow whatever it is that you are buying with the credit card. You're doing it wrong. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just too hard for people to understand, and plus when they don't want to do it anyway and they want to do it their own way anyway, it makes it easier to misunderstand, excuse me. Twin Cities finishing, pay off $10K loan with savings. Yes, that's how it works. That's what it means when it says save $1,000 in step 1 and then do not have any other savings beyond $1,000. Does it have to say that in there for you people to understand it? I don't get it. and then pay off debts from smallest to largest using that snowball method. Again, I don't see anything about have extra savings in addition to the $1,000. It does not say that there. Hey, yo, just started listening to Dave Ramsey. All right. Well, we'll give you a break for not knowing that. I don't have any consumer debt outside of my truck, which is a $10K left on the loan. Loan is 8% interest. It doesn't freaking matter. Don't freaking care. I have $4K in savings. Yeah, you would have take that savings down to 1,000, and then you would put the 3,000 on the truck. A 3K mountain bike I could sell to put toward paying it off. Do that. I also have a measly 3K in a Roth. Would it be wise to use all savings to pay off the truck and be debt-free outside of the mortgage? I do have kids, so I feel like I should hang on the 4K for emergencies. Thanks. No, you don't do that. Even if you have kids, you don't save more than $1,000. You also do not do the measly 3K because it'll be even more measlier than that when you subject it to the taxes and penalties that would be involved for you taking it out early. Now you can take out the contributions you've made, which at this point it likely is most of it, but still the penalties aren't going to be great. Well, you don't. I mean, there's no penalties for that, but it's not going to be enough to I mean, I guess you could do that. Since it's not that much in there, but generally it's you don't do that to a retirement account because it's a retirement account. But this 4K in savings, yes, you take that down to $1,000 and you pay off your stupid debt. The 3K mountain bike, sell that today, and yes, do that. Zero toll 275. Average mortgage payoff time. Average time to pay off the mortgage is 7 to 10 years. That's not true for Americans. No, that is true for baby steppers. Is what that's true for. The average time to pay off the mortgage is as much time as they let you that you took out the mortgage for, whether it be 15 or 30. Most people to take out the 30 because they want to buy more house than they can afford, so they have to get a 30-year mortgage and stretch it out so the payment is low enough, and so they pay way more interest to do that. Try the old doctor, maybe Google, but only found mortgage payments and their breakdown and insight. Yeah, the 7 to 10 that she's talking about, that means for people doing the baby steps following Dave's advice, not just your average American. Advice on debt, Neapolitan LOL. Man, 38, and female, 32. We have slowly accumulated credit card debt and have a car payment. Well, that's how it happens. It slowly accumulates because you think, oh, this little bit will be all right. And then, well, I want this too. And so that little bit will be all right. Added to the other little bit. And then I want this. And then I want this. And then I'm going to buy a new car. Credit card debt is around 17K and remaining car balance is 11K. And that's not bad. It's been a lot worse. When we purchased our house, it was 200K. Current value is 300K. Great. We've paid off 20K on the house. We've decided to close all the credit cards and begin fixing our situation. They spelled it wrong. We're considering a HELOC as our credit union offers a very good rate, 8%. Is a good option or not something that's worth it? No. You don't ever tap your house equity. No, 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 no. What you do is you sacrifice and you pay off your stupid debt, and then you pay off the house. I think that's a great idea. In between, of course, you do the 3 to 6 months emergency fund. Dave's taking some heat today. Boomers being fools. Who cares what somebody on Reddit says? Dave has his own show. Dave has his own empire, as a matter of fact. So who cares what anybody there say? Nobody cares. 12_18 update. Approximate 8 months into going full Dave. Okay, congratulations. Let's see if they actually did it. Some people have said they did it and then they didn't do it. I posted about 8 months ago about fully committing to the Ramsey plan, despite the fact that I wasn't in debt. Okay, that's still great. That still is great. The rest of it's great advice too, other than pay off the debt. Some wish me luck. Most advise me against it. What? I've been fully committing to Ramsey plan? Well, that's because people are stupid, and this is an open forum, and even though it has Dave Ramsey's name on it, you're going to get Ramsey haters on here. And, that's just the way it works. At the height of his popularity, Howard Stern had more haters that listened than he did fans that listened. And that's fine, because hate listening makes Howard the same amount of money as the people that loved him make him. And so that's fine. And that's dumb of the people that don't like him. Let's see. I got wishy-washy when some family members told me not to do it. Okay. But I ended up taking the plunge in September 2023. Great. Here's how it's gone and how it's going. I paid off and canceled all my credit cards, even a couple store credit lines. I didn't even know we're still open. Yep. In September. My credit score dropped from 760 to about 700. That's going to happen. We don't care about credit score. You don't need it for anything. I started using EveryDollar. That is the Ramsey Solutions budgeting app. Overall, I like the app, but it took me a good 4 to 5 months to really get into the groove with it, and there's still a few things I don't like about it. All right, I didn't like it either, and I went back to my spreadsheet, which does exactly what I want it to do. I eventually gave up on trying to use the fund feature. Right? It applies the monthly allocations for each fund toward the monthly total spend. But I like to make that total reflect my monthly consumables only, so that overspending comes from other consumables, not my savings. Okay, that's fine. So I converted, as long as you make the budget and stick to the budget, it's fine. So I converted the funds to expense line items and just marked them as expenses every month. Yeah, that's fine. That's how you can do that. I tried using budget with buckets, heard it's similar to you need a budget, YNAB, but ditched it in favor of EveryDollar's simplicity. And I use cash for all transactions. I keep my debit card in my wallet solely to get cash. I have swiped it one time for a deposit in a hotel room. For online purchases, I use privacy.com cards, which I highly recommend. So far, I haven't gotten any disputes or dealt with any fraud, conducting quite a few online purchases with a smaller dealer. I finished baby step 3 in December of 2024. I was ready to cut my investing to 15% and start baby step 3B, but this experience has changed my home buying goals. I live in a very high cost of living area where studio condos start at $425. Yeah, you might want to simmer down on that. My original plan was to buy a house after saving a down payment of around 10%. Now I'm seriously considering moving to a lower cost of living area, and even if I stay, I wouldn't buy until I could save at least 40% for a down payment, which will take another 5 to 10 years based on current savings rate, and depending on how much of a house I wanted. A lot of this is shifting priorities, my debt aversion, and yes, even the fact that my new lack of credit will raise my rate 0.5 to 1%. I'm not sure if this is a positive or negative, but here are other pros and cons. Pros: saved a lot of money, would spend a lot less time thinking about money, cash discounts at certain places, unexpected bonus. Not using the iPad to pay means I never feel guilty for not tipping out of place. Oh, I see. because paying cash. Another unexpected bonus, I started hiking and running because it's free. Okay, cons. A few places I've been to have stopped taking cash. Well, you don't go to there then. Sorry. I mean, but just get a debit card, like you said, and you even got the privacy.com card. So what's the deal with that? This has happened to me here. Happened to me twice, and I had to ask the people I was with to pick it up in exchange for my cash or a Zelle payment. Yep, so you either do that or you use your debit card to do that instead of just get cash advances. Sometimes I do miss my credit card rewards. Well, I mean, if that's going to be... There's 5 pros here and only 2 cons, so that would tell me the answer there. Sometimes I do miss my credit card rewards. 2% does add up. Although I believe using cash has saved me way more than this 2%. Yeah, no crap. They are not losing money on you. They are not losing money on you. You are not taking the credit card companies for a ride, I assure you. I'd be leaving money on the table if I had the discipline to be this frugal with a credit card. Takeaways overall. I also came to realize that for those in my very high cost of living area who don't have humongous salaries or help from family, it's pretty much impossible to buy a house without being house poor, right? And so moving is a great idea outside of that. Move to America instead. Happy to answer questions. I don't have any questions for you. There wasn't really anything. I mean, you're still doing like some things. You're like locked into your little things, which Dave doesn't say you can't ever use a debit card. He never says that. If you need to use just cash to stick to your budget, do that. But you can use your debit card at places that don't accept cash or not go there. So that can be gotten around. Whatever else your problem is, but it's up to you. It's up to you whether you want to do this advice or not. It's great advice, and it works, as you've seen. Gus8884, why no payment plan with collection agency? Because there's no need. Eventually, they will take a settlement from you. Why does Dave Ramsey recommend against going with a payment plan for paying off debts in collections? As a city credit card, go to collections and end up with Midland Credit Management. The debt is about $6,900 and they're offering payments of about $90 a month until it's paid off. This seems preferable to them taking me to court or dealing with, they won't take you to court, or dealing with all the stress waiting for this potential to occur. So I'm wondering why Dave doesn't think this is a good option, because they may take you to court. They may file and get the court date happening, but then when they do that, you can still call them and settle it so it doesn't have to go to court. And you can settle it for lower than that $90 a month. There's just no need to do that, to do the payment plan with them. I mean, a lot of people, they have this deal where they want to get a consolidation loan, or even like a credit repair plan, or just they want somebody else to do it for them. And what a bunch of those consolidation things are, if it's not just another loan where you take all of your small loans and now it's one big loan, if it's not that, if it's some kind of other company where you send all your money to them and they make your payments, guess what? They're not making your payments. They're going to let it go into collections, and then they're going to settle it later for cheap. And they're going to take thousands of dollars from you for their services, and you could save that thousands of dollars by doing that dumb stuff yourself. You can easily not pay your bills. It doesn't take any effort to not pay bills. So you can do that as well, and you don't need to pay them $1,000 to do it. New replacement 7444. I have $20K in the bank, no credit card debt, truck is paid for. What should I do? You would keep it there. That would be your full emergency fund, I believe. Hey everyone, hi guys. I sold my first home and made a decent amount, paid off all my credit card debts, and my 2006 F-150 has been paid off for years. I live with my girlfriend now, not advised, and have no mortgage, so to speak. Just pay her a monthly rent to help out, not advised. After paying all this off, I have $20K. Right now it's just sitting in my second checking account. I wanted to save it for a future home purchase. What is my best option here to move forward? I will be contributing around $600 a month to it as well. Well, that would be a full emergency fund if you have no debt. Credit card debt. Doesn't say he doesn't have any debt. Does say after paying off all this off. So if you don't have any debt, then it's time to do your full emergency fund. And so that $20K could be most of that. Or that can completely do it, depending on what your expenses are for that. And then you just go down, once you get that done, then you would do baby steps 4, 5, and 6, which probably only 4 applies to right now. And then when you decide to save more for a house, you can save more for a house. But this shacking up with girlfriend and paying her monthly rent to help out, not advised. Gonna live with somebody, get married. Own Apricot 9166. Do I pay off my car? Yes, you do. Because guess what? By you asking that, that means you have a loan on it. So that would mean yes. And if you've ever heard anything about Dave Ramsey, that if you only knew one thing about Dave Ramsey, is that he's the no debt guy. I financed a car that I need for work, and that's bull crap. You do not need a specific car for work. You do not need a new car for work. I haul things and drive about 100 miles daily. It's a Ford Maverick hybrid, so gas is excellent and it can carry what I need it to. Needless to say, I use the truck to its full potential. It's my only car. Should I pay off the loan? Yes, given how fast it will be depreciating in value because of the miles I drive. Yes, you have a loan on it. I figured I'd just sell it to CarMax in a few years and most likely break even. I just don't know if it's wise to pay off a car that might be worthless in 5 to 10 years. I'll need a new car by then, so maybe I should just continue leasing and exchanging. Yeah, if you want to be stupid, sure, go ahead. Go ahead. The worst way, leasing, the worst way to be driving a vehicle, according to Car and Driver magazine. Intelligent, winner ho, all right. Credit. I'm debt free, but because of my parents, my credit score is 524, okay? I own my car and have a decent emergency fund. However, when I decide to get a mortgage, will I be able to get approved? Yes, there's a thing called manual underwriting. I also have the VA loan if that helps. That's not advised. I was thinking of getting Navy Federal secured credit card to raise it, but I know how Mr. Ramsey feels about credit cards. Ha, yes. You do know, and so you already knew the answer here, my dear. CZ Smith, Gen Z and millennials living at home suck. What does that mean? Curious what the community thinks of the full disclosure. Gen X here, that has followed most of Ramsey's advice. This is other BS. Yeah, well, Gen X people, and even boomers, all age groups whine about stuff and they're dumb about it. They're dumb about it. Great example, I always say in one of the articles that I reacted to like 2 months ago or something like that. All time runs together, I don't know. But anyway, so the Gen Z or millennial, I don't even know what she was. She was younger than me, let's put it that way. And she said, I would rather be caffeinated than be stressed and have $6. Okay, and so that's the whole idea, and that's the whole problem with people. It's because it's not just younger people either. You're going with a false set of premises there. You mean you can't get caffeine for one part of a day without spending $6 at Starbucks? That's bullcrap. You can make coffee at home for pennies. Dumb. Even Fault 2873. When to save with purpose and when to just generally save. There's always a purpose to it. Just curious on how folks plan for largest purchases that occur infrequently. Well, if you know they're coming up, you can save with purpose for them in a sinking fund. Like if you know you're going to need tires eventually, you can have a sinking fund for tires. Understand setting aside some amount to cover expected annual vacation expenses. Vacations don't need to be expected. Depends on where you are in the baby steps, whether you're expecting to go on vacation or not. Baby step 2, there's no travel, there's no vacation. Say set aside $400 a month, and at the end of the year there's almost $5,000 to pay up front for whatever you're going to. Yes, that's called a sinking fund. What about other expenses that aren't emergency? We recently had our fence rebuilt. Well, when you know you need to get the fence rebuilt, then you would cash flow it as well as you could. It should last 10 to 15 years before having to rebuild. Do folks really specifically save approximately $42 a month for 10 years to have the cash? You could, or you could just cash flow it, like out of the previous 6 months, and you put more towards $42. Now, and it's easier to do that when you are on baby step 7 and you do not have a mortgage payment, of course. Let's see what else. This is the same situation if you purchase a new refrigerator for $2,000 and expect it to last 5 years, set aside approximately 34 months. Yeah, you could do that. Or again, you could just handle it out of the 6 months. If you know it's going to go out and you're like, okay, well, in 6 months we'll probably have to replace it, so better start saving now for it. You just generally save and generally in cash flow whatever purchase is coming. Yeah, you cash flow it if possible, yes. But again, if it's something you have a specific savings for, a sinking fund for, then you would use that. There's a bet to have a specific accounts for this and that depends on you. If you're able to not do anything else with money, as soon as you find out that you need something, then you should be able to cash flow stuff, unless it's very, very expensive. So, and some of that stuff, it's like not, to have the fence rebuilt, depends on what baby step you're on. If you're on baby step 2, do you need your fence rebuilt now? Are you keeping in livestock? What are you doing with that fence? Fence possibly could have waited. Okay, Zet 3263. Pay off the car loan. Pay off is 2 words in this case. Or keep it in high yield savings. Yes, you pay off debt. You do not try to win over the bank by saying, well, this is this percent and that is that percent. I have $10,173.73 left on my car loan. That's the answer. You have a car loan, you pay that off rather than saving and keeping the loan around. Dumb. Let's just look at the interest rate, just for fun on this. 3.99 interest rate. I got 21 months left on the loan. I got the payoff money sitting in a high yield savings account at 4.35 interest rate. So that is 0.36%. Oh, you're so smart. Pay it off. should pay off or keeping money in the high yield savings account. Thank you. You're going to get dummies that want to do this. But again, the whole idea, you're on the Dave Ramsey subreddit. And Mr. Ramsey is the no debt guy. So sure, you'll have people in r/finance or r/debt leverage or something like that where this is the normal thing to do. But again, 0.36% interest that you're making while also paying more interest by leaving the loan out there longer. So when you're calculating this stuff, you have to also consider the high amount that is accumulating at almost 4% interest every month. And that's not going to be, in this case, you can pay it off completely. So in this case, it is exactly the same. But you gotta include that in. You gotta include the extra that's going to accumulate by you not paying it off. And so people do that all the time. They think they're being smart, but they're dumb because they're not considering that extra interest that they will be paying. Turtle Baka. This mountain seems undoable. I read that before and I said, is that like Chewbacca's brother or something like that? I understand that ultimately my debt is my own doing. It is. And that realization is what's pushing me to get out of debt. Great. But I look at it and it seems very daunting. Medical debt. Yeah, you got a lot of debt. I made good progress and paid off 3 credit cards that had low balances. That means you can do it. And it may take a while. It's not undoable. But I feel like it's going to take me at least 2 years to get this under control. How the 2 years seems undoable, that's exaggeration. That's more of that I'd rather be caffeinated than be stressed and have $6. That's Eeyore stuff there. Oh gosh, oh my. Little man can't ever get ahead. Dumb. It's going to take at least 2 years. Hey, some people are in baby step 2 for longer than that, my friend. I'm thinking of all the things that can come along between now and then. Kids, economic crash, etc. How doable is this? Very. I know I'm not like some people who have $1 million in debt. That's correct. Baby step 2 flare. That's right. Stop whining. Do it. You can do it. Is it going to be fun? No. Is there going to be things that you'll want and can't buy? Yes. But it's worth it in the end to have financial peace. But you get to make that choice. So, whining about it doesn't help. Nothing has changed since you whined about it here. It's undoable. It's not. Obviously, it's not. For the number of people that have done it. Millions of documented success stories by Mr. Ramsey there. Budget for major, temporary maybe, raise. Depending on how temporary, you don't plan for that at all. When you get it, then you just spend it on whatever baby step you're on and you don't budget it. No, don't budget it. I need some advice on how you would handle and budget for a large but potentially temporary raise. A little background: a government employee in Texas. State passed and funded a grant project specifically to raise salaries for employees specifically working my position. Our department is small and received a decent influx of money under the grant that now has to be split between only a few people. The result is that at the end of the month, I will get a raise over 50% of my current salary going forward and a large back paycheck for the last 4 months. The kicker is that, it can be taken away at any time. Sure, it's the government. What would Dave do? Flare, you budget on your salary as it is and the extra that may not be continuing. Then you treat that on a week-by-week basis or month-by-month basis, however you want to do that. But then you apply it to whatever baby step you're on, and that's all extra money. So you're not budgeting. You're not going to spend any money on dumb crap out of that raise because it may not be continuing. Alrighty, I'll be doing this again mañana. That means tomorrow in Spanish, and we'll pick up right there. Oh, I guess I should look at the next question. Student loan 401k match. Good idea? No. The answer is no is the short answer. I may leave it at that, or may actually read that one tomorrow. We'll see. This show, the show Answering Your Financial Questions with Coach Steve Money. And this is the number 81 of those. And I do those Saturdays and Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And upcoming will be the Ramsey show, after show, and that will be on the 18th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, you can take a look at my other financial stuff in the playlist, Answering Your Financial Questions playlist, and the Ramsey show, after show, and also the music playlist, which I found out that now that I'm monetized, it's actually considered a cover of those. And when you do covers, the artist gets half of it, as well they should, and the person that did it, that has it on their YouTube channel, gets half of it. How about that? So definitely listen to those if you're so inclined. There are about 8 different Ramsey adjacent ones in there. Alrighty, let's see, anything else? I can give my plugs. Did not give it at the mid-roll there, like I should have. I'll remember one day. I need to put a big note on there. Plugs. I'm Coach Steve Money, and I'm a Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach. And if you got money problems or you just want to make sure you're on the right track, you can schedule a free financial coaching consultation / assessment with me at calendly.com/Coach Steve Money. That is a video conferencing appointment, so you can do that anywhere in the world as long as you have internet there. You can email me about coaching or anything else on my YouTube channel, coachstevemoney@gmail.com. Channel donations can go to paypal.me/CoachSteveMoney, or like the ticker says, alternatively, Cash App to $Coach Steve Money, a Walmart gift card to coachstevemoney@gmail.com. You can add me on the gram at Coach Steve Money. And of course, the YouTube channel is youtube.com/Coach Steve Money. Thank you so much for subscribing, liking, and commenting. And especially, thank you so much for watching. Make smart financial decisions every day.